Hey everyone, my name is Jacob. So I am 16 years old. I actually made a video about my birthday in January. So I turned 16 in January, and so 16 is kind of the age where you start driving. So anyways, I wasn't one of those people that was extremely excited about driving. Like, I was just like, yeah, whatever, I'll do it. I wasn't like looking forward to it since being like just like a year old. Like I really haven't honestly thought about it until the last couple months whenever I got my permit. I'm like, hey, I probably should learn to start driving now because I'm gonna need to get my license to be able to do stuff and get a job. I mean, well, you don't have to have a license to get a job, but you have to drive to the job. So therefore, license. But you actually have to go, if you're 16, you have to go to an 8-hour long class. I think it's maybe you have to go. I think you have to go. If not, why did I go? I'm pretty sure you have to go to this 8-hour long class. This is after you get your permit, and then you have to go to 3 2-hour classes where you're actually driving. And I mean, like, so basically I got my permit, I go on the road, and we live on kind of like an off road next to a main road. And so I turn out onto our off-road, not going onto the main road, but on the off-road. I don't even know what that's supposed to be called. I don't know anything about driving. But I go on, and there is a 18-wheeler headed straight towards me. And I'm like, what in the world are you doing on a off-road? This is my first time driving. Why are you on the road? Like, have some respect for someone who doesn't know that how to drive. And so it was actually kind of it wasn't that bad. I just went straight, and I was like this the whole time. I was like, I'm not even gonna look at it. I just looked straight. That was terrifying. So then after a couple times driving, maybe like 5, I go to this class, and so I go to the class, and I didn't really realize how many people there would be there. So something that you might not know about me, actually, I don't think I've never really said anything about this, but I'm a very, very big introvert. And so talking to people, going in social situations is very, very, very nerve-wracking for me. I don't know why, but I just get so nervous going to places where I don't know what to expect, and I didn't really know what to expect here. So I walk into the room, and there is at least, I know this probably isn't going to seem like a lot, but there was like 50, maybe, I would say 50, I don't want to say 60, but I would say at least 50, maybe 60 people there. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So I get there, and I'm by myself. I don't know anyone in this building at all. I'm looking around, and I see no one. I'm like, this is literally my worst nightmare. But thankfully, I dragged my friend into, actually, I'm going to take that back. He dragged me into this because I didn't even know about this. And all of a sudden, apparently, I'm going to an 8-hour class. I mean, he didn't make me do it, but he was like, you got to do this, so you might as well do it with someone that you know. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to do this. So I don't know anyone there. I sit down, and I'm literally just on my phone like this for like 20 minutes. Finally, my friend comes, and we sit there like we're so socially awkward. Now, before I say anything about this class, the teacher was good. I mean, the class was a little useless because I already knew a lot of the things there, but he tried to make it funny and just try to make it better than, it was definitely better than if someone else was doing it, that someone boring was doing it. But so we just go over the first half of the class, probably about 4 hours or so. It's just normal stuff. We're like, okay, this is stuff that we are here for to learn. But then the whole other 4 hours, it seemed like he was talking about drugs and alcohol like the whole 4 hours. And like, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I mean, he's trying to talk you out of doing stuff like that because you're driving, and he was a police officer, and he wants you to be safe on the road. But like, he wasn't really even relating it to driving. He was just relating it to like forever. And so by the end of the class, I was like, I'm going to stop doing drugs. I'm going to stop drinking. And then I realized, you know what? I haven't even done that stuff. I haven't done any of it. But he convinced me that I was. Like, he was literally saying that we need to stop. He was like, I don't know what y'all are doing, but you need to stop doing it. And I was like, I I don't think I'm doing that. Another time in the class during the first 4 hours, or maybe this was after the 4 hours of actually learning stuff. Yeah, it was. They show you videos of people in major wrecks, like major wrecks, and some of it's made up, but I'm sure a lot of it might be made up, but it just looks real. But some of it, you can obviously tell it's not real because the camera angles are like placed perfectly. It was like a Hollywood film. But some of them looked really real, and like it was terrifying. There is like people going in crashes, like flying out of their cars and getting run over by other cars on a highway. And I'm like, what? I'm like, is this supposed to encourage us to drive? What in the world are you possibly... I'm like, this is terrifying, and I'm like, I'm never ever driving after this. This is all this stuff that was happening. People are just colliding on collision, and there's pictures of wrecks, and I'm like, why are you doing this to us? It wasn't that scary, but like, I mean, at that day, riding home and riding to other places, I was like, sitting in the car like, this is kind of scary. My dad was like, hey, do you want to drive? I was like, heck no. Are you kidding me? Like, you don't know what I just experienced back there. Another time in the class, I remember the guy asked who had over $1,000. And I don't exactly know why he asked that. I was like, I mean, maybe he was trying to target people to like, so he would know I got to rob this person, so that he wouldn't have to go through all, like, the 60 of us who would target people down. But I was like, I don't understand why you're asking this. Why do you need to know that? Aren't you supposed to be teaching us about driving? But anyways, so yeah, that was the 8-hour class. Mainly, we learned about not doing drugs, which I think that he said a lot. So then after that class, you have all these other classes that you have to go through. The 3 other classes where you're learning to drive for your test. Those classes aren't that bad, but like the nervousness that I had before that first class, the first driving class was just, it was crazy. I mean, like, I was so nervous. That was probably the most nervous I've ever been, because you have to be in this car by yourself with this random guy that you've never met before. And this isn't even the guy that taught the 8-hour class, thankfully, but it's some other person. And so I was so nervous. So we get in the car and we go and we do all this stuff, parallel parking, all that stuff. And I did pretty good on it, you know. Parallel parking, I might have ran into the pole in front of me the first time, or actually that was the second time, but I mean, it was pretty good. I cannot back up at all. Like, no one ever hired me to back up, because probably like everyone not even on that street would probably be killed. Your merchandise or whatever you're trying to your like product or whatever you're trying to get me to back up is on fire, and yeah, I'm really bad at backing up. But that first time I was so nervous so I drove for about an hour with him, just so that he can see how I'm driving, you know, tell me what I'm doing wrong, tell me what I'm doing right. Not a lot of that part, but I'm driving, and this guy was really nice because he didn't talk to me the entire time. The only time that he told me to talk was whenever he's like, turn left or right at the stop sign or light. And so every time he would say, all right, you're gonna turn left at this light. I don't know what came over me, but something made me turn on my right blinker. Like, every time. I got directions confused so much. Every time I would do the complete opposite of the direction that he was telling me to go. And he would look over and be like, I said left. And I'm like, oh. He's like, I said right. I'm like, oh, I don't know why, but I could not confuse him. I was confusing my lefts and rights so much. I was like picturing this in my head, which is, you know, like L for left. I was picturing that in my head, and I was like, what is the matter with me? I think it was because I was so nervous that I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. But I was like, this guy is probably like, we need to get him off the road. We do not need to let him pass this test. I don't have my license yet. I should have it hopefully in a couple weeks. I just finished my last class, and so yeah, hopefully I'll get it. I'm not gonna tell you when. I'm not telling anybody when I'm gonna take the test, except for people that like I don't know. I'm not telling anyone whenever I'm taking the test. If you've been told already, then that means that I trust you. Because if I don't pass it, I don't want people to be like, oh, how'd you do it? I'm like, I did horrible. I got a 0, and I ran off into a police car and caught it on fire. I don't want to do that. So I'm not telling you when I'm doing it. You're gonna have to check Twitter or something whenever I get my license, but it should be in a couple weeks. You do know that. By a couple weeks, that could mean next year. Anyway, so that's driving for you. It's terrifying, but it's also really, really cool, and I've learned so much. For not being able to find the acceleration pedal, I don't even know what that's called, the pedal that makes you go, and the brake, like, I couldn't even find that with my foot at the beginning to switch between them really fast, to being able to drive on an below average basis. I mean, that's pretty good, you know? So, yeah. Alright, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in the next video, which will probably not be about driving. But I just wanted to share some of my driving experiences with you. And I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye. And have fun driving. I mean, oh, Lord. You're in for it.